Hi, hello, it's me again, obviously. I didn't think that I'd be back again today, but I have realised something, and that is if I feel pressure, I'm not going to do it. So if I have a schedule and I say I'm uploading Monday, Wednesday, it's not going to happen, guarantee it. Where if I don't have a schedule, I feel less pressure, I feel more creatively sort of open, or I feel more discussions need to be had, and I just want to jump on and talk about something, and it's a lot easier if I don't feel pressure. And yeah, so that's what we're going to do. We're not going to have a schedule, we're just going to upload when we want, okay? So because of that, it might be best for you to subscribe and ring the little bell thing so that you get notified when I post, because who knows when I'm going to post, not even me. And today I want to talk about something very specific, which is serial killers or murderers that have groupies, because I find it so incredibly interesting, because it's obviously so far removed from what you generally look for in a partner. When you're looking for a partner, you don't usually think like, I want my partner to be in prison already for a heinous crime. That's not usually the route you'd go down, especially if you're like on Tinder flicking through bios or whatever. If someone was like convicted murderer, I'd be swiping left, not right, but it's not for everyone. And it turns out this actually has a name, okay, and this is where I find things so interesting. It's called Hybristophilia. Probably pronouncing it wrong, I pronounce everything wrong. And in the words of Ferris Bueller said, a person should never subscribe to an ism, or a person should never something an ism. And I think the same thing about philias. When your interest becomes a philia, I feel like that's when you need to withdraw a little bit and maybe reevaluate, but I know that it can't be helped, so I probably have some philias that I'm not even aware of. Anyway, moving on from that. So yeah, it is a real thing, and it is something that a lot of people find themselves falling into, which I find so interesting. And there's so many examples of this, and it's a really like clear-cut thing. So it tends to be people that are incarcerated for sort of high profile crimes, so that have been all over the news, and the trial has been filmed, and you know, sort of big cases, sort of your Chris Watts, your Richard Ramirez, your Ted Bundy, people like that who have actual fans, which is such a strange concept, because if you think of the people you're a fan of, I'm a fan of Blink-182, I'm a fan of Terry Pratchett, I'm a fan of Jamie Lenman, I'm a fan of artists, I'm a fan of some YouTubers, I'm a fan of people that either produce content or produce products, things like that is what you'd usually be a fan of. Where some murderers and some people that have assaulted people in ways that they can never take back, things like that, have fans, which is such a strange concept when you think about it. In the age of social media, it's become really evident, and you can see these communities of people who their sole reason for knowing each other is because they both have an absolute love or an adoration for a certain murderer. And like I said, these are usually super high profile cases, and cases only get high profile when either it's a really heinous crime that has either taken the lives of multiple people, or one person in a really sort of heinous way. It's the best word to use, and I learned it from Law and Order, so we're just gonna, if we hear the word heinous over and over again, just take a shot every time. I don't know, but it's such a strange thing to think that the people that have done the worst crimes in society and have been exiled forever, usually these people will have life sentences, or they're on the death sentence or whatever. These people have fans. But there's some examples that I find really interesting online. On Twitter, there's people that are just dedicated to being in love with and trying to redeem their reputations of the Columbine killers, Eric and Dylan. They take like pictures of them and make them all aesthetic and make it all Tumblr worthy, and posting on Instagram the theme is Eric and Dylan, and it's like, these people murdered people, man. But again, it's not something I can understand, it's something I can look at and think, wow, but it's not something I can understand, because I definitely am not attracted to murderers, or really any criminals, but murderers especially, they're not really someone I want to bring into the house, you know? So of course there's the Eric and Dylan fandom that I sort of just explained, which is super high, like prevalent on Twitter. Now I don't follow these people because like I don't want to see it all the time, but if you go on and have a look at certain accounts, like actual stan accounts for Eric and Dylan, where they take all of the old footage of them and make it into films, they talk about like, if Eric and Dylan were still here, I'd get with Eric and Eric wouldn't have killed me, which is such a weird thing to do. And unfortunately, it's pretty disrespectful too. I understand that on the internet you can sort of find people with common interests and you can talk about your interests together, and usually that's like knitting or gardening or being in the same community because of something like, I don't know, autism is a massive thing in my life, that I'm a part of a lot of different sort of autism, ADHD communities, because it's something that's very prevalent in my life. My son's autistic, I have ADHD, so a lot of the people I communicate with online, I know because of autism, where these people, the reason that they know each other is because they both are massive fans, big enough fans to make a Stan account of murderers. There's Chris Watts Groupies. He gets like multiple letters every week off different women. He's currently talking with his ex-cellmates who got out of prison's fiance, who was a clinical psychologist who met Chris Watts because she wrote Chris Watts, which is really strange for a clinical psychologist to do, in my opinion. She wrote Chris Watts. Chris Watts then sold her address to his cellmate, who then wrote to her, and now they're engaged, the cellmate and the clinical psychologist, which is really weird to me, but that's a thing that happened. Multiple high-profile murderers have got married in prison. Charles Manson, just as an example, he had all these groupies beforehand because it was a cult situation, but then afterwards he blew up even further. There's so many examples of it, and I just wanted to talk about it because I find it so strange. It's such a strange phenomenon, and I think in the age of social media it's even more apparent. Like, obviously there's always been people that regardless of social media's presence or not, there have always been people who find themselves attracted to serial killers or murderers or criminals, and you can't help who you're attracted to, we know that. But again, it's so interesting when people then act on it, because I understand, of course, you can't help who you're attracted to. You can act on your attractions, you cannot act on your attractions, whatever. But when people actually take the step to go online, find the criminal that they're attracted to's prison base, find their address, write to them, then get a response and write back and become sort of buddy with this person who has, beyond a reasonable doubt, done a terrible thing, and a judge has said, you can't be around society anymore, you need to live in a cell for the rest of your days, or you need to die for the crime that you committed, and we're going to put you in this box, in this prison, away from society so that you can't hurt more people. It just interests me so much that there's some people that then will go as far as to write to them or try and gain an intimate relationship with someone who has been through the court system, been found guilty, and then been put away. Again, I know you can't help who you're attracted to. I just find it so interesting. I know I've said that about 150 times, but I can't, it's something that it lives rent-free in the back of my head, you know? These people that just, I'm super interested in true crime. And when I say super interested, I mean I spend all day listening to different creators' takes on different crimes that have been committed. I'm looking at law libraries constantly. I'm always on the Department of Corrections websites for different states, looking at who's been incarcerated, what charges this person got, watching criminal cases, watching, I don't know, Crime Watch, looking at actual trials, stuff like that. I spend a lot of my free time, if not all of it, with an earphone in my ear, listening to someone's crime. I'm definitely a morbid person. I'm definitely somebody who thinks very much into things and likes to know the answer to everything, which is why I think I'm so interested in true crime. Look at me, we're just chilling, aren't we? Which is why I think I'm so interested in true crime. But I would never go as far as to actually communicate, I don't think, with someone who has committed such a heinous crime, because when you communicate with someone directly, it humanizes them, doesn't it? And you don't want to humanize those people, because then they become, instead of just, I don't know, Ted Bundy, massive serial killer, terrible dude, he becomes, oh, that guy Ted that I wrote in prison who now wrote me back and we're friends. You know? And it's not something that I'm going to come to a conclusion to. We're not going to get to the end of this video and understand the psychology of this and why people get so interested and so invested in certain terrible people. We're not going to figure that out, and that's why it's so interesting, because we can't figure it out, because we as people that aren't interested in initiating a romantic or intimate relationship with somebody who's done something so terrible, because we aren't like that. And when I say we, I mean I don't know what you're into, I don't know your philias. I want to make it very clear that I think it's extremely disrespectful. I am interested in it, but not in the way that I would ever partake in it, obviously, nor in a way that I am happy when I investigate and have a look around and look at the different sort of Twitters and Instagrams and TikToks are about Isabella Guzman or other attractive murderers. It's not something that I condone, and I want to make it super clear, because I don't want this video to be misconstrued and someone to go, oh, you think it's funny? No, I don't think it's funny. I think it's interesting, but I also think it's disgusting, because people sexualizing or romanticizing these people. If you were the parent or the spouse or the friend, or the person who is the victim in this crime, who is the one that really should be remembered, the victim. We'll take the Watts case just for example, because it's so widely known. Chris Watts obviously committed, I don't know what I can say on it, committed a terrible crime and removed his entire family, totaling his pregnant wife with her unborn son, Nico, and his 2 daughters, Bella and Celeste, in August of 2018. He removed them from this world in order to continue a romantic relationship with someone that he'd started an affair with, which is obviously a terrible crime that should never be sort of romanticized or sexualized. Yet Chris Watts still has all of these women who know full well what he did, believe that he did it. He has all these women writing him, trying to get in contact with him, trying to talk to him. And if you were Shanann's family, so Shanann is his pregnant wife, if you were Shanann's family, Bella's family, Celeste's family, if you know of them, if you're just a person like me or you who is interested in true crime but completely understands the part where the victim is the victim, if you're part of that group of people, you're going to feel very disrespected when you see the murderer being uplifted and sexualized and romanticized. It's not an okay thing to do. I think it's disgusting. And I know that if I were the family member of somebody who was a victim of a heinous crime or any crime, I would not want sort of the internet or parts of the internet to be celebrating the person that did that, you know? I don't know if that was very clear. I know what I was trying to say. Do you know what I was trying to say? Either way, I just wanted to hop on here real quick and talk about that. Like I said, if I structure things and I start to try and put a schedule together, we'll fall out, we won't talk for ages. Where if I stay like this, where I just upload when I want to, I can film, edit and upload in one day, then we'll get somewhere and we'll actually have more conversations. Again, if you want to see this face again, then feel free to subscribe. I'm Abby Lytical everywhere, just spelled the same as it is on here. Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, blah, blah, blah. I'm all Abby Lytical everywhere. There is another true crime video coming out this week, end of the week, Friday, Saturday, which I've already filmed, don't worry, about a case that happened in Indianapolis in the 90s, that is, well, 80s and 90s, that is very interesting and very disgusting. One that I think isn't necessarily talked about a huge amount. It's definitely one that true crime fans will know. But either way, you might want to hear my take on it. It's not really my take on it as much as it is me just telling you what happened. So that's coming out at the end of the week. Next week, we're going to talk a little bit more about autism and ADHD, which is, again, very relevant in my life. So, yeah, if you like autism, ADHD and murder, then this is the place to be for you. Because me and you know, we have the same Ophelias. No, not Ophelia. I just want to make it clear I don't have Ophelia for any of the things I've just said. Right, so I'm going to go now because I'm rambling. So, goodbye. Thank you very much for watching. I appreciate it. Like it if you liked it. Dislike it if you didn't, I guess. Yeah, we'll chat again very soon, I'm sure.